Decay, Captain of the Dismissed, and today, as you can tell, my recording wall has, well, vanished. So what we've done is we've gone back in time and we've stolen the SS Great Britain. What we've actually done is I've decided to do a video on the Great Britain, and to do so I thought it was really interesting to come down here and record an intro on a video of the SS Great Britain actually on board the SS Great Britain. So that is why I'm here today. So without any more yapping before we interrupt somebody else's day, well, let's get into the actual video then, shall we? In 1836, a person called Isambard Kingdom Brunel and his friend called Thomas Guppy formed a new company called the Great Western Steamship Company. Their first ship was called the SS Great Western, and she left on her maiden voyage in 1838 and proved to be a success, so much of a success that the Great Western Steamship Company decided that they would build a second ship. After comparing the disadvantages and advantages of wooden-hulled ships, it was decided that the Great Britain would have an iron hull, as it was stronger than wood while being lighter than wood. Not only this, but during her planning it was decided that the Great Britain would be a single screw ship instead of being a paddle wheel steamer, as screw propulsion was a lot more efficient in storms. But despite her steam engines, she'd still possess sails as a backup method of propulsion in case her engines decided to give up on life. Now, as for her interiors, for her day she was absolutely amazing. If you were in cabin class, as her dining room for example, I mean just look at those pillars, and if my memory serves correct, there was a small skylight that made it so you could see on the top deck. Though I can say, as someone who's been to her, compared to later liners, her interiors, especially her cabins, are very cramped and very warm. But anyways, like every other ship, she had a construction process. Her keel was laid down in July of 1839, and by the 19th of July 1843, the Great Britain was launched in front of hundreds of spectators. Prince Albert was originally going to watch her launch, but by the time he had finished talking and eating, he found that the SS Great Britain had already been launched. But oh well, at least there's this nice painting that I've got a poster of on my recording wall. Anyways, after being launched, it was time for the naming ceremony, which went hilariously wrong, as the person who was supposed to smash the bottle of champagne against the hull decided to give SpongeBob an alcohol addiction. And by give SpongeBob an alcohol addiction, I mean they missed the hull of the ship and chucked the bottle of unsmashed alcohol into the water. Whoops. But eventually, the name and the launch process was completed, and she just needed to have her fitting out completed. But the harbour authorities didn't make the correct adjustments quick enough, which meant, thanks to the widening of the hull, she could not fit. So for the next year, Brunel negotiated with the harbour authorities. But despite the delays, the SS Great Britain was eventually completed in 1845, ready for her maiden voyage. The Great Britain's career would begin on the 26th of July 1845, when she left on her maiden voyage. This went without event, but upon her return she was given a new propeller, as her previous one had rapidly deteriorated. Her career was relatively uneventful until the 13th of October of the same year, as she'd been very naughty and got grounded. Oh dear. She was eventually pulled off the area where she got grounded and was repaired, but this wouldn't be the last time she'd end up getting grounded, but we'll get to that later. As in 1846 she had her chain drums repaired, and on the 22nd of September she decided to misbehave again and ended up grounding again. But this time she'd end up being stuck for almost a year, as she wouldn't be able to be refloated until the 25th of August 1847. But by the time she was freed, the company that had owned her had gone bust, leading to the Great Britain being sold to the Gibbs and Bright Company for £25,000, beginning a new chapter in the Great Britain's story. Ah, Australia. A place where I'm surprised the spiders don't walk down the streets. A place that I wouldn't touch with a 10-inch barge pole. Well, unfortunately for the Great Britain, she wouldn't get a choice, as her new owners wanted to use her as an immigrant ship, as gold was discovered in Victoria back in 1851. And by 1852, the Great Britain had left on her first voyage to Melbourne. This would start her 30-year-long career on this route, but those 30 years weren't uneventful, as in December of 1863, apparently she wrecked. All lives were saved and she herself was salvaged and repaired. Then, in 1865, if you were on board, you'd be treated to the sight of an eclipse. And in 1872, a captain of hers died. But things were soon to get worse for the Great Britain. In 1882, the Great Britain was turned into a sailing ship to help transport coal. She would do this for a grand total of 4 years, as in 1886 the Great Britain was sailing to Chicago, no, not the annoyingly catchy musical, #not sponsored, and on her way she caught fire. Then, as if the Great Britain wasn't having a bad enough day already, she ended up grounding in the Falklands. And it was after that it was discovered that she was damaged beyond economical repair. And I thought that one time a bird took a crap that landed on the dead centre of my head in the middle of a school day was bad. But enough about my misfortunes, as you click to see the story of the Great Britain. And after the Great Britain's grounding, she was sold to the Falkland Islands Company. Under their ownership, she would serve as a storage warehouse, even coaling the fleet of ships that defeated Maximilian von Spree. But alas, she would not serve in this role forever, and by 1937 it was decided that she would be towed to Sparrow Cove and scuttled. But despite this, the Great Britain would still be of some use in World War II, as part of the iron on her hull was salvaged to repair the HMS Exeter. Thankfully though, for the Great Britain, she would not be stuck here forever. In 1970, a salvage operation was funded to recover the Great Britain. The actual operation began in March of 1970, but in April of the same year, a concern was beginning to amount over a crack in the side of the hull, which was soon patched up with mattresses. No, I am not making this up. She was genuinely patched up with mattresses from the locals. And on the 24th of April 1970, she finally left the Falklands on her journey back to Bristol. The most notable part of that journey being when she passed underneath the Clifton Suspension Bridge, another invention created by Brunel. She eventually arrived at her birthplace, the Great Western Dry Docks, where she would undergo a huge restoration and was turned into a museum, but not everything would go to plan, as in 1998 it was discovered that the Great Britain's hull was in a state of rapid deterioration due to the humid condition that her hull was kept in, which led to a glass sheet being placed around her hull to slow down the rate of decay, leading to a nice beautiful sight to get photos from. And that's it. The Great Britain still survives today in Bristol as a museum that you can go and visit, which someone who's been there, I do recommend going if you ever get the chance, as she's an important chapter in maritime history. Hello everybody, it is I, Captain Oblivious Mist, and I am back with yet another epilogue, where I'd like to say, holy smackaroni has this video been a long time in the making. We have been working on this video, well I have been working on this video for absolutely months. For example, the trip to go and actually see the SS Great Britain was planned all the way back just as I began work on the Lucania video, which my memory serves correctly was in April or May. It was one of the two. And we actually then went to go see the SS Great Britain in August. So, and that's when I began writing the video in August. And then everything went completely wrong from there, as I got very, 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 very busy and ended up having to make a bunch of different fillers, and we're now here. So, hello. But yeah, finally this video is finished, and this is part 2 of the Brunel trilogy. I do plan to do part 3 of the Brunel trilogy, aka the Great Eastern, hopefully not too long after this video, because for those of you who don't know, I do plan to cover all of Brunel's ships. But anyways, enough blabbering on, as well, I need to get to work on my next video. So thank you all for watching, everybody, and I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye!